shows we see show any promise, or were they listless? Lists of Promise, inspired by When God Was a Woman by Merlin Stone and created for the stage by Ildiko Nemeth and Lisa Giobbi with Marie Glancy O'Shea, directed by Ildiko Nemeth at Theater for the New City. With the Xanadu like goddess on roller skates and a bevy of brilliant women goddesses, show women being kept in their place with rules and expectations from Adam and Eve to the present. The Adam and Eve segment are aerialists that were dazzling and sexy, and three Elizabethan women aerialists explain how to be a lady. There have been several empowerment plays lately, like Liberation and Suffs, but this is poetical and hits home with stunning actors Amanda Langbert Hermanson, Elena Lozonchi, Elizabeth Foster, Jacob McKee, Lainey McKinnon, Lisa Giobbi, Rebecca Magazine, Renee Erickson, Sarah Lemp, Tanya Cott, with gorgeous costumes by Tamar Mogendorf in collaboration with Jessica Matrani. They make startling pronouncements, and I just found this really just, it was only 65 minutes and it was just incredible. So I'm giving this a major happy face, and go see it at Theater for the City.
Currently playing at Theater for the New City is Tom Dewar-Walker's Road Trip Gone Wrong play called Fog and Filthy Air, which stars Bob Homeyer as father, Kate McGrath as mother, and Steve Gamble as Tim. And it's directed by Jonathan Weber. The press release for it basically makes it sound like it's going to be sort of a horror story, and initially you think, yeah, that's going to be it, because there's references to dad getting lost in a fog bank and following a truck and seeing Satan's eyes in the truck's red taillights. There's a weird hole in the wall of the room in the hooker hotel they're staying in where people can come in and out. There's a outline of a dead body on the carpet, and you think, oh, it all goes nowhere except for the satanic eyes, but which are really never explained. Tim is basically a 30-year-old wannabe playwright who's waiting tables for a living. He comes down at the behest of his parents because they've decided that dad can't drive them home. Mom doesn't have a driver's license. And so Tim comes down without making sure his shift is covered. So he spends an inordinate amount of time dialing a rotary phone back to his crew in New York to see if anybody can cover for him. It's absolutely maddening, brings the play to a halt every time it happens. This is supposed to be a love story for the ages, is what it was described as. And all I can say is this makes Romeo and Juliet look like a real love story, okay? So it's not what they say it is. The lighting is good, the set is good, the acting, okay. So I gave it a mixed face.
And now we have more with Jane Dubin, and now she can talk about her own company.
Yeah, Double Play is my own commercial theater production, and I'm actually doing, I've been working on a musical called The Village of Vale, and it just announced the Adirondack Theater Festival in upstate New York in Glens Falls is doing a concert, 4 concerts of the show June 27th to 29th. It's the atffestival.org. So we're super excited about that. We had recorded it as an audio play during the pandemic, so we have that. But now we get to go back live on stage where everybody wants to be. So really super, super excited about that. It's a kind of fantasy fable about a young girl's journey after being displaced and coming back to her original land and trying to find reconciliation. And it's I love it. I just love the music, and I encourage people to go to villageofvale.com and they can listen to some of the music, and then come upstate and come see us at the end of the month.
At the Signature Theater, you could see Grangeville, written by Samuel D. Hunter and directed by Jack Serio. Grangeville is the town in Idaho where half-brothers Jerry and Arnie grew up. They share the same mother, but had 2 different violent fathers. Jerry, the older brother, is 50-ish. He's an RV salesman who has stayed in Grangeville and has been taking care of their dying mother. Arnie is an artist who has been living for many years in the Netherlands with his Dutch husband, Brom. Per his mother's request, Jerry has enlisted Arnie's help in straightening out the mom's finances and medical bills. Arnie is resentful of being pulled back into the family structure that he hoped to stay far away from. Jerry is estranged from his wife, Stacy, but is involved with her in parenting their two children. Arnie's state of constant torment is also causing his husband to pull away from him. With the device, or maybe a gimmick, that is initially confusing, in the third scene of the play, Brian J. Smith, whom we know as Arnie, plays Jerry's wife, Stacy. In the fourth scene, Paul Sparks, whom we know as Jerry, plays Arnie's husband, Brom. The actors are both incredibly good. The play seems contrived, but also quite relatable. The set and the play transform in the last scene, which seems to offer a faint glimmer of hope. I gave this happy face minus.
At Soho Rep is Nia Akalia Robinson, The Great Privation, How to Flip 10 Cents into a Dollar. It's about legacy and what gets passed down through the generations, the good and the horrific. In 1832, Mrs. Freeman and her daughter Charity are guarding their recently deceased father and husband against grave robbers, or as they were called back then, resurrectionists. They would rob the graves of the Negroes, using the vernacular of the day, for the medical students to use for scientific research. John, who won the deceased from his brother, is there to collect. They manage to put him off. The next day, Cuffy comes to collect. He was paid to do this dreadful deed, but Mrs. Freeman managed to bribe him even more. They had one more day left to protect their loved one, as after 3 days the body is too decomposed to use. Will they succeed? Cut back and forth to present day with that same mother and daughter at a sleepaway camp with co-counselor John, who loves to complain about their supervisor. What strange connection do they have to the past and each other? Nia Akalia Robinson has crafted a very clever, twisted plot that will leave you gasping and give you much to think about. The cast were perfect in their dual roles, which made the past very present. Happy Face Plus.
Avalona, a musical legend, which was created by and has music and lyrics by Dana Fanai, is a total mess. I don't think anybody can understand exactly the plot. So I'm going to read a section from the synopsis to try to explain it. Embark on a spiritual journey of transformation with Avalona, a tale that takes place from darkness to light, fear to freedom. As the seeker, you follow Avalona, a woman confronted by her inner demons, her will to live, and her quest for self-discovery. Guided by the shaman, her inner wisdom, and overseen by the weaver of time, her higher self, Avalona must answer 3 profound questions. Will she choose to live, to love herself, and to see beyond the veil of illusion that has blocked her from her true essence? I don't think anybody can get that without reading that. At the performance we attended, the role of Avalona, usually played by Jenna Rabai, was played by Callie Kyman, and the role of the child, usually played by Madeline Serrano, was played by Maggie Tessitore. Maya Days played the role of the shaman. Dina Fanai, who wrote this, played the Weaver of Time, and they all performed adequately. Constantine Maroulis, who has had a theater career since his American Idol days, winning 2 Tony nominations, could not elevate the music, and he's so vastly underused. The sound system was awful, as you could understand, for a makeshift sound system, and you couldn't hear most of the lyrics. But the lyrics in the last song kept on being repeated, called No Wasted Time. Even I just looked at each other, because Avalona is a waste of time. Sad face.
Noah Miller and I saw Danny Brown's As Time Goes By, which tells the story of two men, Adam and David, who meet via a grinder hookup and get trapped together for the night due to a raging snowstorm. Adam, played by Ephraim Burney, had recently broken up with his lover and was in need of company. Enter David, played by Joel Myers, a young man who is a hopeless romantic at heart. The play centers around the two men peeling back the layers of their respective personas, revealing inner feelings and secrets they might not have wanted to share. But the snow was piling up. David couldn't get a car service to pick him up, and so he ended up spending the night with Adam, and so the soul searching began. Now, Noah did not like this at all. And I thought, wow, it's amazing that two people can see the same play and get such a different reaction because I loved it. And unlike Noah, I was thoroughly engaged. These are two people of different ages, backgrounds, interests, and yet they both have lost the love of their lives and are looking for a replacement to fill the void left behind. Is this forced encounter the catalyst they both need to move on? Ephraim Burney played the controlling, movie-loving character with such guarded ferocity that I wanted David to break him out of his shell. Joel Myers as David was like a clueless puppy dog wagging his tail, wanting desperately to be petted. He didn't know Casablanca or any of Adam's cultural references, yet he persisted in trying to get Adam to open up more. It was hardly slow moving to me, as Noah thought it was, because I thought these two tried valiantly to communicate with each other. Danny Brown was very clever to use As Time Goes By, as it means so many different things. The movie was about old loves and sacrifices and a haunting song that reunites them. The fundamental things apply as time goes by. So I gave it a happy face.
This is Sasha Clarke's review of Have You Met Jane Goodall and Her Mother, a new comedy at the Ensemble Studio Theater on West 52nd Street, playing until March 30th. Many people are at least familiar with the name of Jane Goodall and her research in general terms. The play gives us a look behind the scenes and introduces us to Miss Goodall at the very beginning of her career and work. Through a letter from the world-renowned Dr. Leakey, she gets a grant in 1960 to go to Tanganyika, today Tanzania. However, there is a caveat. She must come with a chaperone. After trying to get several people to join her in this position, she settles upon her mother, a housewife, who likes to read romance novels. At the time, the beginning of the counter-revolution, women in science were rare. As you can imagine, Jane Goodall's arrival in the country at this auspicious time made her suspicious to the locals who thought she and her mothers were spies. And so the story unfolds. The characters of Jane and her mother are factual and were developed from the various journals, letters, and other writings of Jane, her mother, and many people in their circle. The character of Short, a well-known tracker who was sent to help Jane in her search for the chimps, was based on a real person, but there was not much information about him. Jane's frustration after many weeks of not being able to find the chimps finally ends with Short's assistance in finding the chimps and her realization of how to get up close and personal with her subjects without scaring them away. Eventually, Jane really did live, eat, and breathe chimps, taking to sleeping out in the trees among them for days at a time. Lindsay Furman's very imaginative staging and use of simple effects to introduce the audience to the chimps when they appear to Jane, along with Riza Bihat's sensitive lighting, help bring the experience to life. The final moments with Lake Simon's magnificent puppets are truly magical. Brittany K. Allen's portrayal of Jane, along with Kristen Griffith's embodiment of her mother, are spectacular. It is fun, interesting, and you might learn something along the way. Be sure to see it before it closes. Happy Face Plus from Sasha.
The York Theater Company is in the midst of doing their New to New York series, starting with Platinum Dreams, with a book by Stevie Holland, music by Gary William Friedman, lyrics by Will Holt, and additional lyrics by Stevie Holland. It is adapted from Platinum by Will Holt and Bruce Valanche and Sunset by Will Holt. It's basically Sunset Boulevard, but with a happy ending. Both former movie musical star Lila Halliday and rock and roll star Dan Harden are trying to make a comeback by using Jamie Styles' Sunset Recording Studio to produce albums that will appeal to the public and put them both on the map. It turns out that Dan and Jamie were former successful composer, lyricists, and lovers, and Dan always had a thing for Lila. Things get messy as personal and business lives mesh. The plot was too cliche for me, but the acting and singing was so wonderful that it transcended the boring love triangle. Having never seen Platinum, I had nothing to compare it to, but the rest of the audience was quite pleased with this version. But I'm giving this a mixed face. It's closed now, but coming up next will be Who is Jimmy Pants from March 22nd to the 30th, and according to Howard, April 5th through the 13th.
This is Sasha Clarke's review of Sumo at the Public Theater's Anspacher Theater, produced by the Mayi Theater Company, written by Lisa Sanaya Dring, and directed by Ralph Pena. And Shiwu Wei is the taiko drummer. Sumo, which premiered at the La Jolla Playhouse, is getting a wonderful treatment at New York's well-known Public Theater. Most people probably know about the sport of sumo wrestling from its appearance in the Summer Olympics, but not much else. In the Anspacher Theater, which is a three-quarter stage, the audience feels as if they are sitting ringside at a match. This play delves deep into the history and importance of sumo wrestlers in Japanese culture. Like most things Japanese, it is mired in tradition, and there is significance in every aspect of this sport. From the moment you enter the theater, you are imbued in all things sumo, properly pronounced sumo. The pre-show music showcases popular songs about sumo, including rap songs, who knew? In the center of the stage is the designated fairly small ring, denoted by pieces of wood into which these large men will soon step. Hovering literally above the stage on a platform is Shiwu Wei, who provides live taiko drumming throughout the play, which is a delight to see and hear. We follow the development of the young and not very large Akio, Scott Keiji Takeda, who is wildly enthusiastic and ambitious. As a newcomer, he is relegated to the rank of custodian/servant, cleaning the facility and tending to the needs of the higher-ranked wrestlers. Akio, however, is very impatient and wants to begin wrestling before he is deemed ready, bringing to mind the opening scene of Kung Fu. Although Ma Yi very cleverly provides a study guide on the Public Theater's website, I could not find the term for the team that trains together, almost like a tribe. As with other sports you may be more familiar with, like football, the athletes train and practice with and against their teammates, who will eventually become their competitors as they rise up in the rankings. Akio proves himself to be a quick study, and along with the other team members, lives, eats, and sleeps all things sumo. He demonstrates his keen observation skills and soon is allowed to travel to a competition with the leader of their group, Mitsuo, played by David Shi. Not all lessons are provided within the ring. Akio's brash and combative style needs to learn humility, which is a particularly harsh pill for him to swallow. As he learns and grows with a lot of assistance from all of his teammates along the way, he grasps how to honor the legacy of the centuries-old tradition with grace. All the production elements from the costume set, basic props, sound, and light help to bring the multivaried aspects of this sport to life. There is not a dull moment, and the cohesive all-male cast is like a band of brothers, both within the wrestling matches and in the scenes outside of the ring. Even though this is an ancient sport similar to the tradition of samurai warriors, it is very much a part of the modern sports world. The commercial aspects of any sport, corporate sponsors, keeping the clients happy, fans, etc., are given equal time within this play. Top sumo wrestlers are as much sports heroes in Japan as most other top athletes worldwide. Sumo is a rare find in theater, a gem of a play with an excellent cast and production, which brings to life a poignant story. Ms. Dring's well-written dialogue is delivered with both pathos and humor under the experienced hand of Mr. Pena's direction. Happy face.
Dmitry Krymov's Metamorphoses, or How to Stop Your Child from Ruining Your Great Uncle's Funeral, is a highly entertaining look at the havoc a child can wreak at a funeral. Beginning of every scene, a man arrives with a delightfully created puppet child and flowers to put in the open casket. Every destructive object the child returns with causes a memory and a long, informative story from the narrator. Many surprises occur that made me gasp and chortle out loud, while Grace Bernardo sang some beautiful operatic type music. I love Krymov Lab as they are WBE weird but enjoyable, with some quite outstanding puppets. Plots are not necessary as they are just so much fun to observe. That is why it is important to not sit in the front row at the far right. You want to sit on the side of the open casket as the cardboard mourners will block your view. I can't go into too much detail as there are so many of these surprises. Suffice it to say, you won't want to miss this, especially if you have certain objects that trigger nostalgic memories. Happy Face Plus.
Sasha Clarke also reviewed Talking with Angels at Theaterlab, which is a one-woman show starring Shelley Mitchell. It is adapted from a book by the same name, which has been translated into many languages. A group of young adults, 2 single women and a married couple, all friends from school, have been working together at the graphic arts company they founded. The building that houses their company is just outside of Budapest. They are well paid for their work and have taken to enjoying Friday afternoons in the garden. And it so happens that some fine evening, a woman in their group, Hannah Dalos, begins speaking to them as another being. She is being visited by an angel. Eventually, over the coming weeks, each person in the group has a different angel that appears and speaks through Hannah to them. These visitations occurred between June of 1943 and November of 1944. The other women in the group, Gita, the narrator of the story, and Lily, keep journals of these messages. When the Nazis take over Hungary, the group moved from their workplace into the city of Budapest and took refuge in an apartment which had belonged to the parents of somebody in the group. The visitations continue over the next several months. In this group, only Gita is Christian. Though she desperately tries to get her friends to leave with false papers, they decide to stay. Through a local sympathetic priest, Gita is given the opportunity to be a supervisor of a military uniform factory, which she sees as a way to hide her friends and many other Jews. Although she has absolutely no knowledge of how to sew or run such a place, she manages to convince the local authorities that theirs is a necessary establishment. She even befriends the Nazis living in the house next door, so that if the local Hungarian militia, the Arrow Cross, who are much worse than the Nazis, come by to harass her workers, they can run through a hole in the fence through their backyard and into the woods beyond. And so, over the course of the next few years, Gita is able to save the lives of scores of Jewish women and children. When the Arrow Cross show up in the factory in November of 1944, they round up Gita's 3 colleagues along with many others who did not escape, and they are transported to the concentration camps. Throughout the war, Gita kept the journals safe and carried them with her when she left the country. Eventually landing in France, she then edited and published the journals in a book. The actress Shelley Mitchell came upon the book when she was a young woman and received permission to adapt the work into a stage piece which she has performed all over the world. This play focuses mostly on the visitations from the angels and their messages to the young adults who are looking for inner truth and direction. It is much less about the machinations necessary to evade detection by the Nazis and the local militia. In this production, I found that the intimate Theaterlab space was somehow not intimate enough. Ms. Mitchell takes on different voices and embodiments for the various angels and peoples in the play. Sometimes in her vocalizations, I found it difficult to make out what she was saying, especially over some of the sound cues. Overall, though, the lighting, scenery, projection, and sound create the atmosphere in which Ms. Mitchell can bring this experience to life. Ms. Mitchell is expert at encompassing the entire space, and you feel as if you have met her friends and are sitting with them when the angels appear to deliver their messages. There are panels of fabric that create various areas for different scenarios. Sometimes there are images projected onto the fabric to help the audience envision the places where the action occurs. At a time when there seems to be so much turmoil in the world, this play brings some hope and shows the grace in the simple but powerful choices that individuals make in the face of extreme difficulty. It is interesting and well worth seeing. It runs through Sunday, March 30th, 2025, and it gets a happy face.
Hamid Rahmanian and Melissa Hibbert's take on the epic Persian poem Song of the North, called from Shahnameh, the 1,000-year-old Persian Book of Kings, which tells of conceited, cowardly, and female warrior knights. Constant warring kingdoms are taking a breather and pausing for peace. During this time, a mighty but conceited knight, Bijan, travels to put down a demon rising. An elder knight accompanies him but stays behind and lets Bijan fight alone. He's afraid Bijan will tell the king and disgrace him, so he convinces Bijan to cross enemy lines for a harvest festival and to meet the Princess Mania, who is a fearless, fierce warrior with an enchanting voice. Bijan and Mania fall in love as they have much in common, even though there's nothing common about them. Naturally, this angers the princess's father, the king, who cruelly punishes Bijan. There are many adventures to save Bijan, redeem the elderly knight, and show Mania's devotion. This was beautifully put together with shadow puppets and film to create a seamless narrative. It was an exciting and timely story as the world is currently being ravaged by many unjust wars. This shows how love and bravery can bring about peace and quell those pesky demons. My friend loved the integration of the intricate head masks worn by the performers and their detailed expressive body movements used to tell the story. The entire play was beautifully visual with the screen floor to ceiling, wing to wing. Happy face plus. Show is April 5th, and this is just a small amount of what's going on. There'll be a lot more for you to look at on the Facebook page. Carol Lipnick is at Pangea April 4th at 7 o'clock. The Raving Janes, the Spark Theater Festival, Sunday, March 23rd from 5 to 6:30 for the Chain Theater. Closing March 22nd is Lilith in Pisces at the Flea. Closing March 23rd is Beards on Ice at Philadelphia from March 22nd and 23rd. Encores is doing Love Life now from March 26th to 30th, and a couple of plays in Queens. You've got POTUS at City Gate, and closing April 6th is Meshuggah Nuns, which sounds hilarious. And Frankenstein and the Firebird Project, March 28th to April 5th, is in Jack in Brooklyn, New York. And the Fringe is back this April from the 2nd to the 20th. And there's like 100 plays. So I am putting the link underneath me talking now so that you can go and see all like 80,000 plays that are going on right now. Okay, see you April 5th.